Peace, family. So this is a inquiry. I get a lot of inquiries every day, and so I'm just doing this little video real quick because I send so many long text messages. No responses. It's hard to talk on the phone a lot with people in and out of the shop. And anyway, so this is a inquiry I got today where someone wanted advice on stones that would be good for overcoming heartbreak, keeping away negativity, and balance, career goals, health, and wealth. Get asked about health and wealth a lot. So when it comes to heartache, a couple of stones that I like, there's a few stones I like for all of these things, but for heartbreak, I like the stones that have to do with the heart chakra, like rose quartz and self-love and inner peace. You know, the rose quartz is good for that. But also unakite is for overcoming like emotional pain, but especially when associated with trauma and a lot of times difficult relationships. Those people come into our lives to kind of show us some of the negative thought patterns that we're still in alignment with, as far as kind of what we think we deserve or we're worth, because of what we've been told coming up or abuses we've suffered from and things like that. So I like unakite for that as well. But also, when you're dealing with heartache, you're dealing with a bruised ego. And peridot historically has been used for overcoming embarrassment and just kind of like when you feel like something has kind of hit the core of how you want it to be perceived and received. And when heartache is involved, usually we get treated opposite of how we want it to be treated and how we want it to be viewed by our loved ones. So those are three, and you can kind of take your pick out of those three, or it can be a combination of those three. Every stone has different things to offer as far as the energy that kind of vibrates off of them. So the other stone on her list, the other thing on her list was about keeping away negativity. When it comes to keeping away negativity, throughout history, all of the black crystals have been a representation of that. That's just kind of what the color black represents, is protection and also personal strength and power, because black is a color of strength. But when it comes to negativity and keeping that away, a very popular choice, and I think a stone that has what I would say is like a very rich history for that would be black tourmaline. And black tourmaline throughout the ages was only to be used by the priests and the shamans and the tribal leaders and the people that that everyone went to for prayer, is who held the black tourmaline. So black tourmaline is just definitely, called like a premier protection crystal. But one of my favorite things about black tourmaline is the way it's recommended for being used to remind us to channel negative thought patterns into positive energy. So when you catch yourself thinking negatively, which is human, so don't beat yourself up for it or feel less than perfect. But when you catch yourself in a negative thought, I think I stopped recording. When you catch yourself in a negative thought pattern, you want to try to stop and replace those thoughts with the goals instead, the opposites of how you want to feel. And remind yourself that we're so much more than those worries and those fears, and positive thoughts definitely outweigh negative thoughts. So don't feel like you've destroyed everything by having a negative thought, but be aware of it, be more conscious of it, and take more control over it. So wearing your black tourmaline is to remind you to do that, not for you to just expect that no negativity comes your way by simply wearing it. And making the effort to keep your thoughts in alignment with the history of that definitely creates a shift in what you will experience, how you perceive what you experience, whether you view something as a punishment or a tool gained as far as knowing more. So that's one of my favorites when it comes to blocking negativity. Also, another one I like is obsidian, black obsidian. Black obsidian is for cutting ties and for cutting ties with bad habits as well. And the bad habits that can align us with the things we don't necessarily enjoy or the kind of people we don't enjoy. There's sometimes, picture an invisible string that kind of connects, so we have ways of controlling that and declaring what it is you want to be connected to, claiming your highest good, and walking in that truth and knowing that you always deserve the greatest and that you're putting out the greatest, which means not indulging in complaints and not going over how hard it's been and stuff like that. So those are two of my favorites. And then next on her list was balance. For balance, I definitely like agate. Agate is a stone of balance. So is onyx, and onyx is also a stone of protection. And balancing yin and yang energy, but so is agate. And agate is a stone of courage and making stronger decisions and feeling less fearful in the way you go about different things, and being able to weigh out your pros and cons intelligently and not really leaning towards fear and doubt as far as how we make decisions. So agate is definitely one that I like a lot for balance. And then she also mentioned career. For career, I go a couple of different routes. When it comes to any career that involves creativity, I like carnelian. Carnelian is a stone of creativity and creation and passion, and attracting opportunities to you that are kind of based on like what you're passionate about and what you're skillful at. When it comes to career in general and success in business, garnet is a good choice, a very good choice. So is ruby, but ruby's more expensive. But those are good options for that. And then she has health. Health and wealth were the last two things on her list. For healing, amethyst is a top choice for me just because of all of there's so much scientific research on amethyst and the way that it improves like cellular function, and there's a lot of clinical studies on amethyst and laboratory studies and pain clinics and sleep clinics. Amethyst is good for us in so many ways. So I really like amethyst for healing. Spiritually speaking, there are two other stones that are said to be master healers for the body, one being turquoise and the other is peacock ore. So those other two stones have their other benefits, both very like spiritual attributes and a lot of third eye work, especially with peacock ore and the pineal gland. Turquoise has a lot to do with ancestral communication, and so does amethyst. So they have a lot in common. And then wealth. For wealth, you have a lot of different options. Carnelian I already mentioned, and garnet I mentioned as far as success in business. So those are associated with financial abundance when it comes to wealth. So is aventurine. Aventurine, green aventurine, really all aventurines, but green is kind of my favorite when it comes to finances. Across the board, financial blessings when it comes to aventurine, just attracting that energy of abundance, financial abundance into your life and around you, in and through you, is aventurine, and better luck in certain situations. When it comes to wealth with protection, there's pyrite, and another one for wealth is citrine. Citrine is called the merchant stone. So throughout history, merchants like to keep citrine where they keep their sales. So I think it's nice to keep citrine in your register, in your tip jar. If you're a waitress or a waiter or a server, keep it in your pocket where your tips go. If you're a bartender, keep citrine wherever you keep your tips. Citrine is just said to increase the frequency of the income. So it's different levels to what wealth means based on what industry you might be in. So that's the selection as far as what she listed. And I get asked these questions so many times, so I figured it's about time to just start making videos of these so that more people can be answered at the same time. So anyway, that's just that right there. And until the next one. Oh, and real quick, almost forgot. So as far as all the stones that we just talked about, you can wear them. You can use your stones in many different ways. You can have a combination made out of everything discussed, where it's a combination put into a bracelet, or a combination that's put into a necklace, or it can be just loose stones that you have in your meditative space, or where you pray, or where you sleep, and or in a pouch, and you can choose to like hold them as you visualize all of these qualities within you that are already there, expanding and expanding and expanding, and being brought more to the forefront over the things that we've experienced that can kind of make us feel less than powerful. So everything within the stones is already within inside, and it is my firm belief that the stones bring that out, help you bring that out of yourself, versus you kind of being like dependent on outside forces, because you were born with so much, so much, and we go through a lot that kind of like puts dirt on a window that the sun is perfectly able to shine through. There's too much smudges on the glass and all of that, and that doesn't mean that light can't come in. It's that there is no light or access to it. We have certain things we got to remove, and barriers we got to remove, and those barriers are usually connected to things we've experienced that weren't so pleasant, but they're all our teachers. All of these people, all these circumstances, they're all little teachers along your journey. So that being said, yeah, there's different ways to work with your stones. I forgot to mention that part. But yeah, so it's up to you how you want to work with your stones. I never suggest just putting it on and just forgetting about it, or putting it on a shelf somewhere and forgetting about it. I feel that it's definitely key, and you see the most like vivid results when you spend time with the stones, as far as just focusing on the history behind them, and you envision that within yourself just expanding and growing. That's a lot more effective than, I feel, someone just telling you when you wear this the XYZ is going to change, and like it's that simple. It's not. So yeah, forgot to mention that part. All right, that's it.